Trump campaign had a far-reaching set of initiatives that really create big challenges for Europe. He proposed high tariffs, not just on Europe, but also on China and the world. Those would divert trade into Europe and would have big consequences. He also had a set of security initiatives, in particular, a demand that NATO countries increase their defense spending on security. Both of those, the tariffs and the demands for defense spending, really will put pressure on Europe's economy and its ability to defend itself. First and foremost, a lot of uncertainty for Europe. We've already seen threats against Greenland and Denmark that they would face higher tariffs because of some unspecified deal that needs to happen. Those kinds of demands are really things that send European allies sideways. They don't know what is intended by those remarks and how to respond. There is an important internal fragmentation within Europe along party lines. One of the biggest challenges that Europe faces right now is that the center countries, Germany and France, are in political paralysis. And so they don't really have a leadership position that they're staking out. And that allows for other countries, whether it's Hungary or Italy, to then kind of come up with their own strategies. And as you think about what is Europe's position going forward with regard to Russia, that becomes very important. So when it comes to the Ukraine crisis, I think the most important thing is that the new administration continues its economic containment of Russia. Although a lot of people were disappointed with the sanctions that were imposed after the war started, if you think about Russian inflation, its interest rates, its economic budget that's being put to the war, all of those things are dragging the Russian economy down and are preventing it from fighting at full strength. If the new administration were to remove those sanctions and really give the Russian leadership the green light that its economy would revive, I think Ukraine would be in a terrible position. And what I think is important is that there's really, I think, from my perspective, disagreement in the new administration about what should be done on Ukraine. And so it's an important moment for, I think, leaders in civil society, people out there in the community to stand up for Ukraine and say, these sanctions, they're not a panacea, but they are contributing to protecting Ukraine and its population, and we need to continue them. Looking forward into the future, Europe is really facing some serious challenges. It has a war on the continent, it has paralyzed governments in two of the largest member states, and it's facing a really major challenge to its economic model. Germany's on the brink of recession, and its whole vision of how it competed in the world around autos is being challenged by China. And so with those three things, security, economics, and leadership all coming into question, it doesn't matter who is in office in the United States, Europe has to reinvent itself. I think the challenge will be, can it do that in a world that no longer sees the transatlantic relationship as a given? What I think is really the potential glass half full is to say this is a moment when people on both sides of the Atlantic can reimagine what is the transatlantic relationship. It can't be taken as a given anymore. And so we need a new set of thoughts, a new set of ideas that become the building blocks for that future. And I think people at Georgetown, we're doing some of that work.